Well, we come to a very obvious conclusion. It doesn't matter what you call it. The land existed. Asia, from, north to south, east to west. The cities, they existed. Many of them still do. And many of them disappeared. The buildings were built, still exist. And the same architecture is across the planet. North and South America, India, China, Europe, Africa. It doesn't matter what you call it. It existed. We recognize it existed. We don't recognize certain names and titles. It's the same as what we're trying to dismiss as conspiracy theory, deep state. Or resets. Doesn't matter whether you call it deep state or elites or royalty or governors or heads of state or, powers behind the throne. It exists. It always has existed. It always will, I suspect. I'm almost saying I hope so, because there needs to be good and bad so that we know what we value and what we don't. The world, as far as we can see, has been almost always, if not always, a few incredibly wealthy, with power. It doesn't matter what the political system is, democratic, communist, monarchic, capitalist, there's the incredibly rich. And the bulk of the population, the 99.9%, that are in poverty by comparison and probably in absolute value too, many of them, most of the time in history. And yes, it is appalling from a heavenly perspective point of view. It's not heaven. If you want heaven, you go to heaven. If you want the experience of this universe, you come here, to a place like Earth. And, well, I presume it's a great blessing, or you wouldn't have chosen it. That's my trust. That's what the near-death people seem to say. They chose to come, apparently. They didn't realise it. They were told they did. And they chose to come back again. Finish the job. Good on them. Bless them. So, we're not interested in whether you label it as conspiracy theory or evidence or history or, it's whatever it is. Just as these cities, they existed, they're on the map. Some of them still exist. The regions existed, the buildings existed, the architectural fashion existed and spread throughout the world. Wow. Thank you, Heavenly Dad. There's other things. How did Russia come to own all that land? Right over to the Chinese border. How did the Chinese, extend their country way beyond the boundary of the Great Wall of China? I mean, for goodness sake, it's down the middle of the country now. How much land did they take? I'm sure they, at some point in history, claimed that they had it before, so it's theirs, but Did Russia just march across and there were just nomadic, primitive people left? And the great cities were undefended, unpeopled, apart from, a few of the locals that had moved in? What happened? How is it that the architecture is so strange? Colossal doorways, colossal steps, incredibly high ceilings, huge palatial palaces. How did they keep the places warm? What is their technology? Why this amazing preoccupation with geometric ratios and so on? Why all the superstition about giants? How do you build these fantastic cathedrals throughout Europe? Gothic cathedrals. What is this amazing understanding of sound technology and building structure? What are these materials that these remains are made of, whether it's the walls themselves that don't seem to be quite like natural stone, although our limestone sort of mixes? Where did all this incredible mud come from so that these fantastic buildings look as though they're sunk into the mud, or the mud's just swept over them, flooded? What is the composition of the mud? Why is it not really identified as to what it is? Sometimes a few feet, sometimes many feet thick. How could it be across so many cities of the world, right the way, not just Asia, but Europe, even North America? What happened on this planet and when? Where did this wave of technology come from in the West during the 19th century? Why in the early period were there all these orphans in the Western world and North America? What had happened? Why are the pictures of these cities so empty of people? Why are the people so tiny? The windowsills start at shoulder height and go up to enormous height ceilings on the first 2 or 3 floors. Did they have a servant class that lived in the smaller floor ceiling rooms above the next 2 floors? Why do they have these towers? Why these domes? Why this obsession with copper domes? Where was the heating system? Where was the sewerage system? Where were the toilets? What did these people eat? Where were the factories? Why are there no records? Something's hidden. It's as simple as that. Perhaps it's for our good. Well, that would be nice. Perhaps it's not. Well, that wouldn't be so good. The mind runs riot, and so it should. Thank you, Heavenly Dad.